We're number one. We're number one. It turns out, according to the RSA's quarterly report that they put out, the RSA is a well-known encryption and security consulting firm. Canada is the number one fished country in the world per capita. What does that mean? It means we got a lot of spam and junk email. We got a lot of hackers and scammers and cyber criminals sending us email, trying to get us to fall for their scams, to click their links, and basically to try to take advantage of us. That's what it means. The issue is up across the world, but Canada has been identified as the number one. Now, a couple of interesting takeaways from this. From a security point of view, for me anyways, a couple of years ago, the Canadian government enacted something called the CASO law, the Canadian Anti-Spam Law. And you could sign up to be on the no spam list, and Canadian organizations sending out email had to have your consent in order to be able to send you email of a commercial nature. That was kind of the basis of the rules. Unfortunately, what this new report shows us, even after such a law coming into effect, doesn't really have a lot of impact for people that are sending stuff from overseas. All right, so let's just say, for sake of argument, I get a bunch of junk email and I trace it back. I'm mad, under Castle. I said don't send me this, and you're not supposed to be sending me this stuff, Mr. Bad Guy. And I trace it back, and it goes to some country in Asia or Africa, for sake of argument. It's overseas. The Canadian law really has no impact in that situation. So Castle, okay, it may have stopped the flow or made it more of a trickle of email being commercial email being generated by Canadian companies and entities being sent out. But it really has had no impact on emails that are coming from overseas, especially from the hackers, scammers, and cyber criminals. The other thing is, we often talk about email being the number one way into a business or into your home. And why is that? Because it doesn't cost very much for the bad guys to be sending these emails out. Matter of fact, it could be costing them nothing. We've seen cases where the hackers will actually trick someone using email to then install a virus which installs a fake email server. So then, for sake of argument, let's say I accidentally clicked on one of those links. Now my computer, it becomes an email server, and my computer is sending out thousands and thousands of emails every hour until eventually somebody complains, or an internet service provider shuts it down, or my IP address, which is kind of like saying your street address, your home address, gets identified as being a spammer, and you get blacklisted. What does that mean for businesses? Well, if you end up on the blacklist, it means any email coming out of your company likely is not going to get delivered. Anybody that's using any level of security is going to block or stop those emails coming in, because you see, we the good guys, meaning most businesses and people, are trying to keep the bad email away. So we're using software and different things called a DMARC, you may hear that term, or an SPF record that talks about what email servers are authorized to send email on behalf of your company. There's a whole bunch of these technical things in the background that we're trying to put in place to stop the bad guys from being able to pretend to be good and sending out these emails. But as we continue to put in more protections, the bad guys are just ramping up how much of this email goes out, to the point that we now know in Canada, and folks, to my American friends south of the border, you guys are still high up on the list. Why? Because you've got a lot of high net worth individuals, especially when you look at third world countries. They see the US of A as a target-rich environment with all those rich Americans. All we got to do is fool a couple of them, and we're going to steal all this money. Without realizing, of course, that in North America we still have poverty, we still have homelessness, we still have some issues. But the third world countries, it's pie in the sky, lots of money, and we're all rich. So Canada might be number one, and we are number one, for phishing emails, a distinction we probably don't need. But North America in general gets a lot of attention from the bad guys because they see us as having deep pockets. So what do we do? I see a lot of companies, they just assume that their staff is going to have the training or the knowledge on how to spot these scams. And listen, folks, we got more stuff coming at us all the time. You get text messages and emails and websites and of course the phone calls. And it's coming at people fast. And as technology is advanced, I remember when they said, it was going to become a paperless office once we went digital. But do you remember back in the day, if someone called and left you a voicemail, it was okay to respond. As long as you respond within 24 hours, that was acceptable. Well, as we've used more technology, people are looking for instant gratification. I send you a text message, why didn't you answer within 30 seconds? I sent you an email, why didn't you respond right away? So there's a lot of pressure on on employees, our staff, to be able to identify or respond to email quickly. The bad guys know this. So it does make for a very easy way into a company. Guys like me can put up tons of security, but if we don't train our people on what to be looking for and what scams look like, and if we don't test and start building a culture of security, we could be leaving our companies vulnerable to these hackers. We could be leaving that doorway in. So little takeaway from this video is if you're a business owner or an executive, make sure you've got some form of testing of your employees. Okay, so you got to educate them. And I'm not talking about give them once a year training. I mean, you don't take a bath once and then think that you're going to be clean for the whole year, okay? There should be an annual component, but there should be some ongoing training, maybe weekly tips. Here's some latest trends, whatever that might look like, but there should be some ongoing training refreshers. And then you need to test, do some simulated phishing tests. I know for our clients, what we do is we take known phishing emails that we're seeing live out in the world. They're the real things that are happening. We take out the malicious content, so the links don't go to those infected sites or the attachments don't have a virus. But we'll send those as a test to see who falls for it, so that we can help educate those people that fall for it. And eventually what happens is you build a culture of security. Very interesting that I've seen, once we started adopting this with our clients, going from people that were just click happy, click, 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 and problems happening and we were blocking a whole bunch of viruses, to now we start seeing, hey, I got this email, it looks kind of suspicious. Can you look at this and let us know what is this real? Is this fake? A culture of security starting to get developed inside of businesses. And how do we do that? We educate and then we test to make sure that people are actually taking the education, taking the training, and taking it to heart, and are starting to think about, hey, I should think before I click on that link. Or, I wasn't expecting an attachment. Maybe I should call those people and see did they actually send that to me. Or, the boss says I need to transfer $15,000. I better go do that right away. You better check with the boss before you do anything like that. Some very basic tips. All right, so congratulations, my fellow Canadians. We are #1 at getting phished by the bad guys. And now you know why, and now you've got some ideas of what you can do to try to protect yourself, your business, your family from falling victim to scammers through email. Stay safe out there.